We are live on the post-game party week 10. He is Jim Dunaway. I'm Ryan Brown. What a day of college football.
Whew.
I feel like, Dunaway, the first day of November, the first Saturday in November is always our best day of the year, it feels like.
The games were all so competitive, so close. It looks like Washington's going to stay unbeaten and hold on against USC. Alabama's offense was so good tonight, man. You got to fall in love with Jalen Milroe. Auburn won in Nashville. Georgia won. Texas survived. Just the last Bedlam was good. I mean, just so many good things we'll talk about. I just got to know one thing.
Okay.
Have you heard from Lance at all today?
I have not. I saw him on a video with EG pregame. He was on, let's see, we had a group text going with me, you, and him, me, you, and Luganville. Me, you, and a couple of other people on a group text, and he has not responded to any of those. I'm pretty sure you're just not getting any texts there in Tuscaloosa tonight.
Yeah, well, I was texting girlfriend back and forth,
Oh,
and she was, "Oh, these games are great. Are you here?" And I said, "No, I had to bail because my back is still killing me, and I couldn't take the meds I needed to take and drive down. So after our pregame show, I punted on going down and came back here, and have been in the sports room all day, and I've been waiting to see some of his stuff, and I've been searching, and I was like, he's having a good time. I
yeah.
hope he joins us here in a second because I bet he is lubed and ready and upset that his USC team has lost by 10.
Yeah, that's what's going to be the big thing, because he's upset. So we are live. Thank you for joining us. Give us a thumbs up if you would, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Next Round Live. Let's start with the most recent thing we saw. Alabama, a dominating second half against LSU, an absolutely dominating second half. A lot of people will point to Jaden Daniels going out of this game, which was a big moment in the game, obviously. But Alabama was up 14 at that point. They had dominated that second half with Daniels in there. I understand the personal foul by rule. Body weight coming down to the quarterback is going to get a personal foul. Not a dirty hit at all by Dallas Turner. It's a football hit that ended up being a personal foul, but it's hard to ignore the impact it had on that game. I think Alabama Dunaway wins either way. But the moment Garrett Nussmeier came running in, that game was over.
Nussmeier's a really good backup quarterback, but this Alabama defense is good. And if you take away the element of running that Jaden Daniels brings into it, this offense isn't as good as it is with him running. That's the difference maker, and has become the difference maker for Alabama too. But I agree with you. It's absolutely a 15-yard penalty. I don't know if it rises to anything else, targeting and all that. I was getting hit up by non-Alabama fans on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And as I pointed out, they're like, of course, it's Alabama. It's not even reviewed. Every play is reviewed in college from the command center at the SEC office. And he was down for a long time. So they looked at it several different ways and just decided not to stop play and have him go over to the monitor. You know, there's a replay official at site, and then there's the command center. So every play is reviewed. And, they decided that it didn't rise up to stop play and send the head official over. There was plenty of time to look at it several different ways. If it had been a targeting call, I think I'd have been okay with that too.
And I don't think I would have been. I don't think I would have
Yeah.
been. I don't think there was any targeting in that.
I don't think you can hit the crown under the chin anymore. I mean, that used to be the target area, actually, back in the old days. I mean, you would try to, that was where you wanted to hit the quarterback. You catch him under that chin, and they're never the same again.
Yeah. I would not
And
have liked that call at all. I think it would have been a bad targeting call. I think it was a clean hit. It unfortunately injured Daniels. I hope he's okay. He's
yeah.
an incredible player. Alabama just couldn't stop him. I mean, they really could not stop him. Anytime Alabama got any sort of pressure on him, just about, he was able to squeak out. He is so slithery, is the word I kept coming to, Dunaway. It's like a snake. It's like he can turn sideways and disappear, and you can't even see him anymore.
But I will tell you that the number 4 in the crimson jersey did everything that he did, and showed his speed and showed his power, and took a couple of hits in the game with his size and everything. And you don't want to stop thinking about a great win and not enjoy the evening. But that's just the way my mind works. Maybe it's the medication or what. So I'll first rewind and say there are many, we'll just say Gene Stalling era schedules where Alabama didn't play anybody that was any good until Tennessee.
Right.
And if that had been this Alabama team, they would be unbeaten right now, would not have played Texas. And I think if they were playing Texas next week, that outcome would be different because this Jalen Milroe gets better and better every week. And I know LSU has been a water spout when it comes to points defensively all year long. But Jalen Milroe didn't make any mistakes tonight. That kid's getting better and better every week. He's getting better and better every week. And if that Texas game was over again, if he played that one over again, and maybe that'll pair up in the semifinals. I don't know. But if you play that one over again, I think there is a good chance Alabama gets Texas this time.
Well, it's Milroe's running more now. They're calling more runs. They are, he's able to scramble a little bit better now. Just using his legs. I mean, it's such a weapon. You heard Gary Danielson, as much as people want to hit on Gary, you heard Gary Danielson talk about how fast he is. He is so fast in the open field. He is such a weapon. He's a powerful runner. You saw him run over the LSU DB along the LSU sidelines. He's just got so much skill. And here's the thing, Luganville, we were texting in a group text with me, you, Lance, and Luganville that I referenced earlier. And he made the point, I was kind of thinking this, but when Luganville says it, it carries a lot more weight with me. LSU got so focused on Jalen Milroe, Alabama's backs could do whatever they wanted, and you saw that. And that's just such a weapon for Alabama to use, that Milroe pressures your edges so much running the football. Boy, it opens up Roydell Williams and Jam Miller and Jace McClellan and who else ever is in there carrying the football.
Yeah, I will say this right off the bat. Give me a little bit more Jam Miller too, because the kid was doing a good job blocking tonight.
Yeah.
So I mean, he picked up a couple of blitzes, and you're going to need that down the road. And I see the chat, and I understand that LSU's defense is not good. That Ole Miss put 50-something on them, but Milroe didn't make the mistake he made against Texas. Texas's defense is better. Georgia, Kentucky, Auburn, those defenses will all be better than LSU's. I agree with you. I'm just telling you, the guy is throwing the short ball better. I'm just now looking at the highlight of Jam Miller catching one out of the backfield where he just barely cleared Harold Perkins. In fact, I think Perkins barely touched it and still was caught by Jam Miller. I mean, that was a touch pass. He threw a couple of underneath passes that were interceptions. He didn't make bad reads. They were interceptions against Texas, so they were incomplete passes earlier this year. Is he good enough to play in the LA Coliseum tonight? No, but he's getting better at quarterback. He's getting better.
Well, I mean, really, the only mistake he made, he had Bond wide open for a touchdown, as open as you'll ever see anybody in a game. And I know he's making the throw on the run, but he's got to figure, he's got to be able to stop and make that throw. That is a touchdown. Now, he eventually scored, so ultimately that one doesn't kill you.
Yeah, I'll tell you this.
He threw the deep ball worse than he's thrown it all year. That's the irony here.
That's what I was about to say. And he threw it into double coverage. So when you do play a Kentucky and Auburn or a Georgia down the road, I think a couple of those deep balls were interceptions, and they just weren't tonight. Hats off to Burton. He played a little good DB on a couple of them.
Best offensive line performance we've seen from Alabama this year, you think?
Helped out, yeah, but helped out by the fact that Milroe is such a threat to run now that you can't just pin your ears back and go get him like I think Texas could and some others. It's funny, there were people who said to me earlier this year that Jalen just doesn't want to run. He wants to be a pocket quarterback. He doesn't want to run. And tonight he looked like he enjoyed running. And that kind of Jalen Milroe, that kind of Jaden Daniels, that kind of Michael Penix, that kind of Caleb Williams, that'll get you paid, man. Jalen Milroe, there are NFL teams that will look at his ability to run. If he can develop that passing, they'll be like, I'll take a little slice of that and give it a shot.
Yeah, but let me give you, when I talk offensive line, not all of this is Alabama's offensive line. Some of this is LSU's scheme. 6 solo tackles, 1 sack. Who am I talking about?
6 solo tackles and 1 sack. That is Harold Perkins.
I mean,
Yeah, and
I, I just,
that's a better stat line than I thought, because I had a tweet ready to go. I said this game would have been different if Harold Perkins at 08 he did play, because he didn't seem like he was that. I didn't know he had
nope,
6 tackles and 1 sack. It didn't
yep.
seem like he was that big of a factor.
Yeah, 6 solo tackles, 1 sack. His only tackle for a loss was that 1 sack. And
Yeah,
I think anybody in Crimson, Alabama fan, Alabama coach, Alabama player, if I had told you, you hold Harold Perkins to 1 sack and he only makes 6 tackles, you'd have said, I don't know. I don't
yeah.
need the details. We'll just take that one.
He and Mingo were a wrecking crew last year, and Mingo
Yep.
being out and Perkins being limited tonight by the scheme and the ability to get him whatever it did to keep him from being a wrecking crew again was huge in this game.
Yeah. And by the way, a pretty big penalty. It's going to press me to remember the exact details around it, but that big horse collar
Yeah,
on Milrow, which was an obvious horse collar, was a pretty big penalty on him too, and that was a bit of a game changer. There were a
yeah.
lot of. Go ahead.
I thought Alabama got away with a horse collar early in the game,
Yeah,
but
that one was a little bit closer because that was a nameplate. Which if you grab the nameplate in the open field, that is a horse collar. Perkins was obvious.
yeah, he got
Alabama's,
inside.
yeah,
And
Alabama's could have been called, but it wasn't. Yeah,
I wonder if you just spun him, and since he threw him to the ground and didn't drag him to the ground by it, that
yeah.
made it less offensive. I don't know, but I thought that one could have been called as well. But you were about to make a point about Milrow, I think.
No, I was going to say, you can go back and say this was the biggest play, that was the biggest play. Obviously, when Jaden Daniels goes out of the game, that's a big play. Again, I'll point out Alabama was already up 14 at that point. I don't think LSU was going to win that game because they had no answer for Alabama's run game.
And they burned timeouts
Oh gosh,
left and right, man.
Poorly coached game by Brian Kelly, who I've fought for now. I've talked about what an elite coach that guy is, but
I think he is. Yeah,
I do too. But that was not his. That was not his best game. His center was all, and some of that's on the center, but his center was all out of whack. He's going to have to answer for putting Jaden Daniels back in the game. That kid was not there, Jim. You know it. You said it.
Yeah,
he was not there.
Yeah, he wasn't. I mean, when you go back out and you don't even notice the clock. What clock?
Yeah, I think that's pretty big.
But I don't think they were giving him the concussion protocol. They were checking his jaw to see if his jaw was broke.
Well, maybe hold him out more than one play. They only held him out one play. He's going to have to answer for that. That's dangerous.
I'm sure he said, "I'm good." And it's my jaw. If my jaw's good, I'm good. And he goes back in there and he's obviously not good. I mean, hats off. I mean, they didn't put him back in. They took him out right there. I mean, there are times in our history that the guy would have tried to play through it. I mean, the Favres and the Elways of the world probably would have kept playing the rest of the game. I can't see the clock. Tap me when it gets inside 10.
Yeah.
Or say clock, and I'll go ahead and snap it.
So Frank is asking, can anybody explain the 1st and 1 penalty? I've heard this a lot. So it was 1st and 15.
Yeah.
They pick up the first down. There's an illegal block behind the play. The yardage that you mark off from the spot didn't negate the first down, but it made it 1st and 1. So it's a weird way they enforce the penalty, but it's really the only way you can enforce that penalty.
Yeah, it's 1st and 15. So he runs it. At this point, he runs it 31 yards.
31 yards.
No, it's going to be 29 yards.
Yeah,
and then you get a 15, and you get a 15-yard penalty from the end of the run backwards, which ends up being a 14-yard gain from the line of scrimmage, making it, and you repeat the down, making it 1st and 1.
Yeah. So it's a weird way they enforced that penalty, but it's what it was. So 1st and 1 was why I know there were a lot of people confused by that. No, I was going to say you could argue about what the biggest play of the game was, but I tell you, one of the biggest plays of the game was Milrow is dead to rights and floats that little ball to Jason McClellan, and he goes down the side.
That's the play of the game. That's the one I was going to say too, Brown. I'd agree with you.
Heads up play by Milrow. First of all, he literally has his head up. He's not, looking around at the rushers coming up. He's got his head up. He's aware of the situation. Floats that little ball to McClellan. Big gain from McClellan. And I think that's just emblematic of the type of game that Jalen Milrow played tonight.
Yeah. Hats off to McClellan for leaking out too, because that's not part of the play. He's supposed to be in protection, but at that point, everything's behind you, so no need to go back and get in the pile, and you just floated it over to him. That was a heads-up play by both of those guys. And you're right. I mean, and Gary talked about this for as many times as he's been sacked this year, for him to be as poised in the pocket as he is, when people are flying around him, to not panic and run or get happy feet or just throw it up sometimes. I mean, impressive night from Jalen Milroe.
Neil says the interception was huge. Obviously, there's no doubt. First play of the fourth quarter.
That was another Dallas Turner play, right, where he jumped up and deflected it. That was huge.
And Terrion Arnold intercepted it. Of course, CBS had their interview ready to go where Brian Kelly's talking about, I got to finish this drive strong. Well, Coach, I hate to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know why they air it at that point. I guess just to show that they have him.
Yeah, a little bit of a dated interview there. A lot of people are asking where LT is. I love that y'all think he's going to get a good enough cell service in Tuscaloosa on a game day to do a video stream. That's funny.
Well, I mean, I'd like to know if he's trying.
I doubt he is.
I'd like to know if he's trying. I mean, I'm like them. I want to see. I wish I was there with him. The Johnson RV Center RV was amazing. We did our pregame show from it. It was stock to I mean, it was overflowing with alcohol and women from California. And Ralph, the driver, is completely sober, and he's a hired driver that's going to get him there and get him home safely. So nothing to worry about there. But I'm like them. I want to see the carnage right now. I mean, when you got LT, his ex-brother-in-law, and 10 women from California, and all the alcohol that was on that RV, I want to see it too. I'm dying to see it. And I assume there are videos that just can't get out because of the cell service. So Little T and all of them will pump those out if they exist. We'll kick those out tomorrow or Monday.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if any of that comes out.
So there's a chance it won't come out?
Well, I have no idea. I don't know what exists, to be honest with you.
Well, I bet he's been shooting. I know LT. He's been shooting stuff, and it just won't go out. I mean, We've all seen the spinning wheels, or it just sit there halfway loading and just won't go out on game day. And they keep telling us all the time that, it's improving on game day. It's improving on game day. Well, I mean, 100,000 people and everybody's got a phone and everybody's, trying to do it at the same time. Just, it's hard to do it. Trust me. The last one, was it last year? No, it was last year. I was still helping CBS 42, and they have the backpack that basically sends video on your cell service. And we're at Tennessee, and I'm getting paid, and we don't get one shot in a 2-hour pregame show, and we don't get one shot in a postgame show and that was with professional equipment. So I understand why I haven't seen a video. I'm just saying I don't blame the public. I want to see them too. I'm going to look for them tomorrow or Monday, and if they're fun, maybe we'll send out a couple of them.
Yeah, we'll see. So Alabama beats LSU 42-28. I got my prediction wrong. You got your prediction wrong. That game would have. I don't know that anybody got the prediction right. I think everybody thought it was going to be a closer game than 42-28.
Yeah.
I had Riker hitting game-winning field goal. Riker couldn't hit a field goal, much less a game-winning field goal.
That's right. Well, I mean, technically LSU only scored 11 more than I thought. So I thought Alabama's defense did pretty good.
Still a wrong prediction.
Yeah, it is still a wrong prediction. But if you told me only one touchdown in the second half, you take that. I mean, you have to admit, I mean, even when Jaden Daniels was in there, that second half defensive performance was pretty awesome.
No, it was. I thought Alabama was in a little bit of a danger zone. They give up that late first half touchdown because maybe if you want to criticize Milroe for anything, and it's hard to criticize him after the game he just had, maybe let that clock run a little bit there at the end of the first half. Maybe be a little bit more aware of the clock. Kept running out of bounds when they had a ton of timeouts. Didn't really have to run out of bounds there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Scored too quick. The old scored too quick.
Well, I mean, it was just that he kept running out of bounds. You got 3 timeouts. You don't really have to go out of bounds there. Let your coaches control the clock. And, that would be a criticism I would have had. If you're going to criticize anything about Milroe, that could be it.
Yeah. I would tell you this, though. I'd love to know the stat of when in a game like that, when a team scores, I mean, up against the wall to end the first half, and then they come out and march it down the field and score to start the second half. I would venture to say, what would you say, 66% of the time, the team that scores going into the locker room and coming out of the locker room wins? I bet it's a high percentage.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. That's where I thought Alabama was in a little bit of trouble. Well, not a little bit of trouble, but the game could have gotten away from Alabama there. You give them the score going right in and then the score coming right out. Had you told me at that moment in the game, that's the last time LSU scored in this game, I would have laughed at you. I would
Yeah.
never have believed that. But I mean, you think back, that score coming out of the locker room where they won the middle 8 minutes that everybody talks about in football. That was the last time they scored. And that to your point, that's a pretty remarkable job late in the game by Alabama's defense. I don't know about your X Twitter timeline, but mine was Alabama's defense getting roasted pretty hard on it.
Yes,
In the first half.
that's exactly right. And luckily, LSU's defense was playing a little worse.
They were.
Yep.
Auburn wins at Vanderbilt. It was Vanderbilt is not a great team, but those are the teams you have to play. Auburn goes up there. I think Hugh Freeze is right. They left a lot of plays on the field. Could have scored more than they did. Jarquez Hunter had a game, averaged almost 10 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Peyton Thorne was okay, threw a really, really bad pick 6. But other than that, played okay. He was not as good as he was against State, but he was okay. But Hunter had a really good game for Auburn.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that gets them within one win of bowl eligibility, which I think is a good would have been a good season.
Hugh said that the obvious next step is what Hugh Freeze called it. Yeah,
that's right. So that'd be a good season.
Yep.
And then I think there is potential to win more than just one more game left, which will get it even to a better season, and potential to beat Alabama at home, which would make it, a bowl game and a win over Alabama would be a great first year. So all that's still on the table. I mentioned how Jalen Milroe's gotten better since the beginning of the year. This Auburn team, since the bye week, is getting a little bit better. And I know it's just Vandy, and I know it's just Mississippi State, but I'm telling you, just having success, you can build on that, and it leads to more success. So, Auburn's got some tests ahead, but their toughest games are behind them until they play Alabama. So,
well, there's no doubt. Patrick says, I can't wait to get Bama and Jordan Hare. You're going to do that in a few weeks. There is a good chance. There's a chance. Auburn comes into that game on a 4-game win streak. Now, listen, that game at Arkansas got a little bit tougher today. Arkansas goes to Florida and gets the win. They've got some life now. Rocket Sanders back playing well for them. You tipped your hat because you called that one? Was that the hat?
I did call that one. I think I'm 500 again. I'm always 500, but
yeah,
I did get that one right.
But so that's a bit of a challenge. New Mexico State's a layup. So Alabama should be on a pretty good win streak coming into that game. They've got at Kentucky and Chattanooga, of course. And Auburn could be still a fun Iron Bowl coming up in a few weeks. So that'll happen. But I don't know what to make of Auburn. Again, they've beaten State and Vanderbilt. Again, those are 2 bad teams, but it's the teams that were on the schedule, and they have shown improvement against those teams. And I think you'll learn a little bit more at Arkansas. I think of those 3 teams, hosting State, at Vandy, or at Arkansas, by far and away the toughest game of those is at Arkansas.
Yeah, no, but like I said, you start stacking success on top of success, and that can lead to just good habits where you start playing really well. And right now is your Hugh Freeze. You want to show that momentum, that moving the program forward, because that continues to help you in recruiting. Because when you guys are done watching us here, go check the On3 recruiting team rankings, and Auburn's one of the better ones in the country. But still, there are a lot of SEC teams ahead of them. So you can be like 13th in the country and still be 7th or 8th in the SEC. So Hugh's trying to recruit out of the hole a little bit. And anytime you get a win, look good, string some wins together, that only adds to a little momentum on the recruiting trail, which is what this year is all about for Hugh.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. Let's bounce around a little bit. Texas and Kansas State. I have probably more than you. I have praised the coaching of Chris Kleiman. That was not his best job today. He did not coach a very good game. Now, look, if Texas doesn't fart around, they're never in that game. Texas let them back in that game, but he did not take advantage of it.
You talking about Texas jumping out early?
No, I'm talking about Texas turning the ball over the way they did.
Yeah.
Terrible interception and the fumble. They're the ones that let them back in that game.
Yeah. But, I don't think you go into that game wanting Malik Murphy to throw it 37 times, but He does. Has a couple of interceptions in that contest. What I don't understand is you're first and goal at the 4, okay, and you've got Will Howard as your quarterback. or you have Avery Johnson, who can run fairly well. And the first play you're going to run is basically a quarterback draw with Will Howard, not your running quarterback. And then you go that whole sequence, including going for it on fourth down without running it with a true running back. You run it with a quarterback, and then you pass, and you lose the game in overtime, 33-30, after your defense stopped Texas in overtime. Kansas State had the momentum, should have won the game. It was a kicking fiasco for them. They missed an extra point, missed a short field goal, but got a big field goal to get it to overtime. But you're right. Texas is the better team. They're still alive. I don't know.
They're the only one.
Yeah, they're the only one. I don't know how you judge later on if it comes down to if Alabama was to win the rest of them and Texas was to win the rest of them, and Washington, who has beaten USC, one of the Big Ten teams, and Florida State are all unbeaten. I assume Alabama would be left out by the head-to-head against Texas, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So I was hoping, as an Alabama guy, that Kansas State would have, sort of eliminated that head-to-head discussion off of Alabama's plate. Alabama's got a lot of work still to do, but that was a great opportunity right there for Kansas State to sort of erase that loss for Alabama when it comes to the committee.
Ole Miss beats Texas A&M. This was a weird game if you did not watch it. Ole Miss is up 14-0, cruising. They go in to make it 21-0. Gets called back for a hold. Another hold after that leads to a field goal attempt, which gets blocked and returned. All of a sudden, it's a 14-7 game, and they could never separate themselves from A&M after that until A&M missed the potential game-tying field goal right at the end.
When you think of Ole Miss, and you think of the Ole Miss LSU game, again, I'll go back to stats I didn't see coming. 42 passes from Max Johnson. With what LSU did to Ole Miss, that's just I didn't think I'd see 42 passes from Max Johnson in this game. I thought they'd try to, run Moss and some of the other guys a little bit for Texas A&M, but they threw it 42 times. They threw it more times than they ran it. But again, I thought Texas A&M battled back and had a chance to win that game. And obviously the missed field goal at the end kept it from going from overtime. But another good 11 o'clock window game. I had the quad box on one TV and then two big games going at one time. And I was like, man, these are all 3-point games going down to the wire. And it was a fun day of football. And it started with that great early window, and Texas A&M and Ole Miss was one of those. And now Ole Miss and Georgia, game day's going there next week. I thought Missouri played Georgia pretty much toe-to-toe. Georgia flexed their muscle, but, Georgia, they keep winning. They won 26 straight. But are they the big bad wolf right now, or are they just a really, really good team? I don't know. I could see Ole Miss, who I think you called to be the team that gets them, makes that interesting next week if Jackson Dart plays well.
Well, technically, I picked Missouri to win that game. They had every opportunity, and they couldn't close the deal.
They did. I thought Missouri. Hats off. I thought Eli Drinkwitz and his guys played really, really well today.
Yeah, I agree.
And Georgia had to earn that win, and they did. Georgia played well when it counted, but Missouri did not look like their record was because of schedule. They legit played toe-to-toe with Georgia.
Brooks asked if we have addressed the Brian Kelly putting Jaden Daniels back in without clearing concussion protocol. We did mention it. Thankfully, they did not run a play. I think Brian Kelly's got to answer for that. That was obviously an oversight on his coaching staff and his medical staff's part that you just can't have anymore. And, it's unfortunate, but thankfully they did not even run a play, which made it obvious he needed to be out of the game.
Are you a Miami Dolphin fan who's questioning the medical protocol of another team?
Miami has made that mistake too, and it's unfortunate to the point that Tua considered retirement. And technically it wasn't even Miami. It was the NFL doctors.
Yeah, well,
mistake Tua.
But if I'm Brian Kelly, I'm not a doctor, right?
Well, yeah, but it's on the doctors.
But if the medical, you're saying Brian Kelly's got to answer for that. If I'm Brian Kelly,
they don't ask questions of the doctors after the game. They ask questions of the coach. He's got to answer for it.
Yeah, but I mean, if the medical staff is, he's got his helmet back and he's going back in the game,
Yeah, that's on them.
I'm the coach. I'm gonna overrule the medical staff at that point.
No, but he's got to answer for it. He's the head of the program. He's the one that's got to answer for it. It's his job. He's the head football coach.
Okay.
And now, if he says the medical guys told me he could go back in the game, so I'll put him back in the game, then if you're LSU, you got to take care. You got to fix that problem. That's a problem, obviously. He couldn't even come out of the tent. I don't know how you put him back in the game. So somebody, Brian Kelly's the one that's got to answer for it because he's the one that does the post game. Is my point. And he's the head coach. It is his program. And, he's got to fix that. You cannot have a player going back in a game in that situation. You just can't. It's my opinion. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you want me to say.
Josh Heupel won today as I do the silence there. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why and look, I know what you're saying. If the doctors tell Kelly he can go back in, you don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying Brian Kelly is the one that has to answer for it. He is the head football coach. They don't bring the team doctors in to do the post-game press conference. They bring the head coach. And if the doctors tell him he goes back in, he needs to say that, and they need to take care of the doctors.
Let me just say, I understand that you're saying that he will actually physically have to speak words.
Right.
But I think the phrase he has to answer for it is oftentimes used as a phrase. He's got to pay a price for him going back into the game. He's got to answer for that. And I don't necessarily agree Brian Kelly has to pay a price or answer for that. He may literally have to answer a question. And once you clarified that's what you meant, then okay. He will literally have to say the medical staff cleared him, and word for word, that's exactly what will happen. The medical staff cleared him to go back in. They were checking his jaw. They didn't think concussion was part of it because it wasn't targeting. And then when he got out there, he was dazed and confused. And I stepped in at that point, and he didn't come out of the tent again. Jaden's more important to me than winning this football game in Tuscaloosa today. Obviously, it impacted us, and it was a tough break for us.
Yeah,
Next question.
Yeah, next question. Thank you. Yeah, Coach Harold Perkins did not have a concussion.
He did not.
It was a very small part of this game. Could you answer that for me?
I cannot. I cannot explain how they got around. Probably because I screwed up Harold Perkins in the offseason by changing his position.
That's wild, isn't it? I mean, it's like you go series without hearing his name, like 2 or 3 series without hearing his name.
Yep. And I mean, you heard his name in practice on Tuesdays last year on every play. Yeah, it's very different this year. And they line him up almost evenly at 3 different places. His number of snaps on the edge, in the box, or as a hybrid star position guy is almost split 33% across the board. He doesn't really line up in one position more than the other. And at that point, maybe you're trying to do too much with him. Just let the dog eat,
I tell you what, you want to talk injuries going out of the game. One that almost became a massive injury was when Key went out of the game and Story had to come in. Story is an obvious drop off. He at one point was just kind of lost out there. Jaden Daniels running right behind him on a big gain. And then on the touchdown right before the half, you got to understand situation there. He's going for the pick, and you let your guy score a touchdown.
Yeah.
You tackle that guy down in the field, it's a spike and a field goal. Big difference.
You're right. That's exactly right. I mean, because, even on replay, I'm watching, okay, did his butt hit? And when his butt hit, is the ball across the goal line? And it was a good call.
Yep. Oh,
so if it had not been, they'd likely run out of time at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe not able to get it going. So, yeah, I understand that. I don't know if he's going for the pick. I thought he was going to knock it down.
Either way, make the tackle. Just make the tackle.
It was so close. There were a couple of times they were so close to making big plays on that defensive backfield. Story's in there because he's replacing the injury. Amos played a lot because they're playing dime package most of the night. So I love Amos. Story's learning. Jaden Daniels running up his back didn't bother me so much because he's in phase with his guy. They're in man-to-man. That happens all the time in man-to-man. You could be still covering your guy and the guy's running right behind you unless somebody starts yelling. that, hey, it's a run, turn around, whatever the code word is for, hey, he can't pass it anymore. He's already passed the line of scrimmage. So I don't blame it that much on him. He had his guy covered. He wasn't going to go anywhere. I don't know. I leave this game really liking this football team, and I know it's just LSU's defense, but I like the way they attacked this game tonight. I like the way they attacked the second half, and I just saw Dallas Turner hit Jaden again. I guarantee Nick Saban asked Brian Kelly about him right after the game. I mean, that's close. That's close to a targeting, and I don't think it would change the outcome of the game because he would have still been out of. He'd have still been out of the game, and it would have been a 15-yard penalty and a first down. So maybe they went on and scored, but then they'd have to stop Alabama and score again, and that only ties you up. So I don't think it changed the outcome of the game. But if they'd have thrown a flag for targeting there or ejecting for targeting, I think I would have understood it.
I would not have. No.
Yeah. No, it would have been one of those that you could complain about for sure.
Yeah. Nick Saban, by the way, asked about Deontay Lawson and Jalen Key. Ankle for Lawson, quad for Key. If I read this right, does not know how bad the injuries are. Lawson got kind of tangled up. Honestly, Jaden Daniels broke his ankles. I guess technically sprained one of them, but got tangled up on his own feet there in the open field along the sideline, and never came back in the game. So that would be a big loss. Alabama had just gotten back healthy. This was the healthiest Alabama had been all season long.
Yeah, and that's usually the case after that bye week, right? They usually, as best you can, you get a lot of people healed up with that extra weekend off. But I'll tell you, I thought Lawson would play a bigger role tonight in the game defensively than he did, mainly because I thought they would spy, and I thought he'd be the spy on Jaden Daniels because I remember Toa last year. It felt like he shot the wrong gap, playing very aggressive. Anytime Jaden had a big run, he would duck inside a hole and Jaden would go outside, or he'd duck outside and Jaden would go inside. It seems like he was spinning the wheel, picking the roulette wheel, picking red, and it was black, picking black, and it was red every time. And when he got it right, it would land on green. It never seemed like Toa got it right in this game last year. And I just thought Lawson was going to be speed-wise such a big upgrade from Toa when it comes to speed. And I thought that would help control Daniels a little bit more, but it did not. That kid had a heck of a first half and first drive of the second half, and then Alabama's defense clamped down.
Patrick asked if we talked about the phantom QB hit on LSU's first drive. It was actually hands to the face.
Yeah, a good call.
I thought it was a good call. He had his hands up in his face. Anytime you see that head get pushed up like that by the face mask, I know Danielson said it was short, and it was short, but it doesn't matter. If they get the hand up in that cage and it pushes the head back, that is an automatic flag.
Yeah, it's a huge unfair advantage. And I think the only person that is really allowed to do that is a guy with the ball on a stiff arm. And that under the mask is, I don't know if that's the easiest call to make in refereeing football, but I think it's one of them, and probably is the easiest one to make.
Yeah, it took him a minute
you get the obvious extended hand and the obvious head backwards.
Yep.
That's a very easy call.
Yeah, it took them a minute to find it. They initially thought they were calling it on Daniels, but there was nothing there you could call on a quarterback roughing the passer or anything like that.
CBS was still settling into the broadcast then. That was not their best moment. They didn't get the
didn't even get the call.
We didn't get the referee announcement. Didn't know what the call was. They were still settling into the situation at that point.
Yeah. As we pointed out, G. Wilson, last CBS game at Bryant-Denny, so we got that going for us.
It is, and I texted some old friends at CBS 42. My time at CBS 42 was the Saban years. I was at NBC 13 before then, and I was brought in basically to start with to host the Saban show, but mainly to make a lot of money for CBS 42 doing pre and post game. And those were a lot of good memories. And I understand a lot of people don't like Gary Danielson, but me personally, I enjoyed the heck out of working at a CBS affiliate and doing pregame and postgame shows in 2008 when Alabama was unbeaten in the regular season, 2009 national championship, 2010 championship with Auburn, 2011, 2012, 2013 with Auburn to the championship, 14 to the playoffs again, 15 championship, 16 loss in the final, 17 championship, 18, a loss in the finals. And then I wasn't there for the 19, 20, and so forth. But for those years to work for a CBS affiliate in Birmingham, Alabama, those were the golden years, man. That was fantastic. And I miss doing that. The post game shows, those were a lot of fun. The pregame shows would get long sometimes, and I always wondered who was watching. But the postgame shows were always fun because the ratings were good, and it was always a lot of energy. And I miss doing that.
Do you think Alabama LSU was the most significant game that CBS, that specific rivalry, is the most significant game they had in their SEC run?
Oh yeah, it made them so much money.
Tennessee, Florida early on was
Tennessee and Florida, but they would always play that at 2:30. They rarely, I can't remember them ever playing it at night.
They played a couple night games of it. Yeah, that was, I think, when they realized, well, maybe we can move some of these games to prime time, and I guess the SEC was like, okay.
Yep.
So yeah, you had some Tennessee, Florida primetime games, but it quickly became Alabama LSU primetime. Yeah. And the Iron Bowl has given them some good ones, but not as consistent as Alabama LSU.
And just think, at one point, it was so important for them to get the game of the century that they gave ESPN something so that they could broadcast another primetime game and make it at 7:00. So yeah, they made millions because they were paying the SEC so little. Right. They made millions just off of Alabama LSU.
JKM says, can't wait till ESPN announces Danielson is being brought in. You will not see that.
You will not see that. He's tickled to go back to the Big Ten. I don't know how many more years he has doing it. But he and Nessler both, I think, are very excited to be in the Big Ten. Listen, I'm going to tell you guys, you're not going to love the ABC ESPN stuff as much as you think you are.
Why do you say that?
I say that because the CBS game was a standalone game that you never, ever had to worry about it starting on ESPN Plus or streaming. And I'm telling you that you're getting ready for just a boatload of Auburn and Alabama kicks that are going to start on ESPN News and then move over to ESPN.
They've gotten a little better with because the games are a bit shorter. That has helped some.
A little bit, but at some point, you're not gonna like it. And I texted you this today. You didn't respond. It's a geeky Ryan Jim moment here. But if you please notice it this next week during Ole Miss and Georgia, which I think is the 2:30 kick on CBS. Go and watch a game on ABC, ESPN, and go look at the game on CBS. And look at how much more screen you get of the field and action on a CBS broadcast compared to ABC and ESPN broadcasts. They almost double ticker you at the bottom, and it just takes up so much more of your screen, of your 70 or 80-inch screen, than it does on CBS. And it just always looked like I could stick my hand through the screen on CBS. It just always I could stick my hand through the screen on CBS and touch the field. And on ABC, no offense to my friends at ABC 3340, it just never looks as crisp as it does on CBS or NBC or on Fox. It's just me.
That's okay. Fair enough. I mean, Craig agrees with you. CBS has a better picture, according to Craig.
Yeah. It always and you get a lot of different crews, including camera people, some student productions, and all of that through the school on ESPN and such. CBS, it's usually you got one game with a huge crew. The truck rolls around, and I know it's geeky TV stuff, but for many, many years, it was a really, really good broadcast. And I understand you don't like the announcers, you didn't like Vern, you didn't like Gary. But the actual technical aspect of watching the game, I always liked that part of it.
Yeah, a lot of people are agreeing with you in the chat room. David, one of those. That's true, Jim. So
I'm on pain meds, so I'm probably smarter on pain meds.
Yeah, Dirty Death says you're correct. Now, a lot of people are saying take away Gary, and I agree 100% with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, eventually everybody gets taken away, right? Everyone dies eventually.
Yeah.
And listen, he's not my favorite either, right? He's not my favorite. I really I don't know who my favorite is. I try not to let the announcers bother me, but it's gotten harder to do that. There's several crews on ESPN. Now we're back to that. There are several crews on ESPN that distract the game. I don't like them, and it's hard for me to even listen to them do a broadcast. And that's hard for me to say because I usually put up with anybody. Beth Mowens doesn't bother me, and it bothers all of you, but Beth doesn't bother me.
She bothers me. You know who she bothers more than anybody is my wife. My wife cannot stand it.
Totally understand. And there are, I can name 6 people at ESPN that I don't like doing a game more than Beth Mowens. And I'm not saying Beth is tremendous at softball, but she's not in my worst 5 that I don't want on my football broadcast. I promise you that. And all of them, other than Chris Collinsworth's kid, all of them work at ESPN and ABC that I really don't like when they're doing the game, but they broadcast so many games. There's only so many good announcers. I mean, we've got Ryan Brown under contract, so they can't use him.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard of Beth Mowens' game, though. That game's never got audio up for me. I can't tell you last time. I've seen her on the NFL more than I've seen her on college.
Hey, but there is 2 crews that regularly get ESPN games of the SEC this year that it's like I can't. It's not going to turn. I'm not going to turn with the sound. I've watched more Big Ten, Pac-12 football with the sound up this year because usually the SEC game is my sound up game if I've got multiple TVs as most people do now, and I'll just watch the non-SEC games. But this year there's a couple announcing crews. I'm just like, no, thank you. Not going to happen.
Clemson beat Notre Dame 31-23. You can kind of see this coming. Now, you know what's happened now, right? Now everybody's buying into this. Tyler from Spartanburg was a plant to fire up the team.
Maybe. I really, is Lunsford with us here? I really, at one point, I want us to be so quick to get shirts printed and get them ready to go. I mean, if we were based in Greenville, South Carolina, how good would a Tyler from Spartanburg T-shirt have been?
Yep.
And if that call had happened fast enough before Halloween, I think I would have gone as Tyler from Spartanburg. But yeah, it could have been a plant. It worked. Notre Dame has regressed. Sam didn't have a good game, threw a pick 6. I don't know what I think of Marcus Freeman right now.
I don't know. It's hard to peg him. Some games I really like him. Some games, like the Duke game, I guess he did a pretty good job in the Duke game. I felt like in the Ohio State game when he had 10 players on the field for 2 consecutive plays, he wasn't doing a very good job.
Yeah, but then again, I didn't think their talent was good enough to be in that situation against Ohio State. So I had to give him a little credit for that. But I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, Ohio State went to Rutgers today. Didn't exactly blow them out. I don't believe Ohio State's number 1 team in the country, personally.
I don't either. I think Michigan will wax them.
Yeah.
And then we'll see if they get 2 into the playoffs again. Because right now they have a little Alabama-Georgia banjo going with Michigan and Ohio State. If they only lose to each other and they don't play each other in the Big Ten championship game, that sort of is like Alabama and Georgia playing each other every year when they could in the SEC championship, and with one of them being unbeaten and losing and the other one only having 1 loss and beating them and both of them getting in. We could be in a scenario again. It's going to be hard to, if they're both unbeaten, to leave one of them out.
There's no playoff contender I watch less of than Florida State. They beat Pitt 24-7. They just play crappy game week after week.
Yeah. The ACC is pretty bad. But if they win out, they're going to be in, right? I mean, we're not going to leave out an unbeaten. Yeah, we're not going to leave out an unbeaten Power 5.
Nope. No, they're going to be undefeated.
But if we did, I'd start with them.
Yeah. I tell you, Florida is such a schizophrenic team. That last regular season game at the Swamp is interesting. Interesting.
It is. But
Florida's good enough to beat you some nights. They're bad enough to play like they did in the second half today. You just never know.
And I guess in looking at the standings, it's going to be Florida State and Louisville.
I think so. Louisville hammered Virginia Tech today, 34-3.
Who's not good.
And in fact, Louisville has almost finished their conference play.
Yeah, because they got Kentucky at the end, right?
Yeah, they play Virginia, who is not very good, obviously. Then they're at Miami, a game they actually, I think, can lose and still play in the conference. No, well, maybe so. It just depends on what else happens.
NC State got to win tonight over Miami, so Miami lost again.
Yeah, Cristobal not doing a very good job. Yeah. The final Bedlam was a very entertaining football game, controversial too. And some will point at Big 12 officials. Inevitably, there was a missed pass interference in the end zone that ended up playing and it was a pretty obvious one too, ended up playing a massive, massive part in that game.
Yeah. I mean, that was pass interference.
Pretty obvious.
It was. I mean, you got to overcome that, but are you telling me if that was Alabama, would I have been upset? Yes.
Yes, you would have been.
I would have been, yes. Yeah, it was pass interference. Yeah. But you got to overcome it. Got to overcome it. That was there were many things they did in that game because they're a better team than Oklahoma State. There were many things they did in that game that happens in college football in rivalry games, especially when you're on the road, that just spells out you're going to lose this game today. The fumble on the snap that hits Dylan in the shins and gets kicked around, and but then Oklahoma State was trying to give him back. They let Ollie Gordon throw a pass.
I mean, really?
I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, good for Gundy, and I can't remember. I think who won, was it Texas A&M or Texas that won the last one of their meetings? And you've gotten to live with that for this long, and now that we're about to start playing it again, I don't know when or if we'll ever play Oklahoma State, Oklahoma again. But I'm for it. I if I was Oklahoma, obviously Oklahoma State would have to sign off on this. I think I would want to open the season with them.
I'd want to play them every year. It's been an automatic win for them.
Yeah. I mean Gundy's now 4-15 in 19 years.
Yeah, it's going to be easy for people to bemoan the end of that quote unquote rivalry because of today's game. It's a terrible rivalry. It's one that has no impact on college football. I'm fine not playing it.
Yeah. Or if I was Oklahoma, I'd say, listen, here's what we're going to do, guys. We want to be like Georgia and Florida and South Carolina and Kentucky, and we're going to play our rivalry game out of conference to end the season. So you guys adjust there in Birmingham. That's what I would do. I'd keep that game if I was Oklahoma.
It's an automatic win for them.
Yep.
And you're right. The Big 12 generally does not play out of conference. Now they've got a lot of new teams. They generally don't play out of conference at the end of the year. So it might have to move to the first of the year.
You know what else that allows you to do if you're Oklahoma? It allows you check that box that you have the rule in the SEC of playing one Power 5 team, and then you could your other games just schedule, Tulsa and Southwest Missouri State and any of those guaranteed W's, and you really don't have to worry about any scheduling problems at that point. It's just every other year with Oklahoma State at home.
Oregon beat Cal 63-19. Bo Nix might be your leading Heisman candidate especially after Jaden Daniels took another loss tonight. I don't know if he's going to be out extended time, but Bo Nix, 386 pass yards, 4 touchdowns, only rushed for 3 yards, but had 2 rushing touchdowns. So he had 6 total touchdowns.
Yeah, but that's something Bo's not doing this year. He's not running. He hasn't had to yet, I guess. But he's not taking it and running like he did last year. And I think that's because he got banged up. And I think he wants to be in there for every play because that gives Oregon their best chance, obviously. But, I mean, he doesn't pull it down and run it a ton, but he has been very effective. He's so poised. That's a really good football team at Oregon. And I wasn't surprised by that outcome. That was one of my plays today. MyBookie.ag got actually a little parlay because I had
Attaboy.
Washington minus 4.5 and Oregon minus 24.5. And that's a W for you there. And Oregon's good, man. They're good.
The single most surprising outcome of the day that nobody will talk about?
What?
This
Jack
one
State,
blew
South
me.
Carolina?
Jack State driving at the end with a chance to win, got a little greedy and threw the pick six. No. I mean, I would not have picked this one, especially a 20-point difference. On the road, Army smoked Air Force.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
Win.
Yep, that's a great point. That's an Army team that had lost to UMass. It was my upset alert last week. UMass had the longest losing streak in the FBS, and I picked them to beat Army at Army, and they did. Army got blitzed by LSU, and then they go play nationally ranked Air Force, who was cruising to the Commander-in-Chief trophy, the CIC, and the CIT, and got beat 23-3 on their own field, altitude game and everything. That you're right. That is a surprising outcome.
Yeah, not only the Commander-in-Chief trophy, they were in line to get a New Year's Six bowl berth, and that is over now. And I don't know who that pulls up. Who's next? Who's next in line?
Tulane is, right? They survived East Carolina today.
Yeah.
It's Tulane
again,
because James Madison doesn't have the bye,
right?
So it's Tulane, and if for some reason Tulane lost, that would open the door for possibly Troy.
Wow, good for Troy. I mean, and I don't know who Tulane has left. I can look real quick. They won 13-10 over East Carolina. They didn't exactly. That's a 1-8 East Carolina team. They beat 13-10. They host Tulsa. They're at FAU, and they host UTSA. The toughest of those games will be UTSA, but they get to play it in New Orleans, and then they play their conference championship game, probably against SMU. Could be a rematch against UTSA. They could have to play UTSA in back-to-back weeks. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, obviously James Madison is not eligible, or it would be them. But Troy right now at 7-2 may get into the conversation. The Mountain West,
you got
UNLV 7-2, Fresno 7-1 right now.
Yeah, and they're up 20-10 at the half on Boise right now. So, if they win that one, they're probably in good shape. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know who will get in line.
Liberty's 9-0, but they really haven't been showing up in the voting. I don't know about the playoff committee. If you stay unbeaten and you're only group of 5 that's unbeaten, maybe they give Liberty, but Liberty's schedule hasn't compared to what Air Force or Troy or some of them have done.
Yeah. It's a good question. I don't know. There was talk of a lawsuit that they were going to try to file to get James Madison cleared to get in there. So I don't know. We'll see if any of that happens. I would have my doubts. I think you're probably wasting time on that one. No way it'll get decided that quickly. Alabama wins 42-28. How you feel about Alabama going to Kentucky next week? Kentucky beat State. Boy, State is a bad football team, by the way.
They really are. They really are. I would say I think it'll be an ugly, close game, just by styles. Styles make fights. But if this Jalen Milroe shows up, I like Alabama to get to Atlanta, and they just need to win one of them, Kentucky or Auburn, to clinch that SEC West.
Yeah.
And, so I'd like them to get to Atlanta, and if this Alabama shows up and that Georgia shows up,
right,
that I saw today, I mean, Alabama's got a fighting chance, and I wouldn't have said that at halftime of the Tennessee game.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It's that Georgia team's missing a little something. They're missing a little something.
And I'm not talking just Brock Bowers. They're missing a little something.
No, just a little something. Yeah, I mean, Missouri moved the football on them today. I didn't really like. Missouri kept running like that sideline fade the whole fourth quarter. It was like the only pass play they ran. It was the weirdest thing. I will say this, against State, Kentucky could only rush 29 times for 110 yards. They've got to do much. I mean, this is so Kentucky. They won 24-3 and had 271 yards. That is such a Kentucky win right there. Yeah. State had 218, though. That was the problem.
Yeah. This Alabama defense is, I mean, I know it looked like it was going to be a track meet all night, but Second half against Tennessee, second half against LSU. And really for first 3 quarters against Texas, this defense has played some pretty good football.
Yeah, it really has. They haven't
One
had
bad quarter. One bad quarter.
Fourth quarter against Texas, and you could probably say the second quarter tonight. You take those 2 quarters away, it's been an incredibly dominant defense. Can't take them away, though. It cost them the Texas game, and it made tonight, a tight game going into the half.
Yeah, I would tell you that Caleb Downs twice, and this is just being a great true freshman, twice, once against Texas and the first touchdown tonight. I think he's supposed to be that bracket on the back end that has made for some easy, deep touchdowns. One against Texas and one tonight to start the game off. But then they adjust. And you can't criticize his play because he's so physical with the underneath stuff and the runs. So I like this team. I like this team a lot right now. They get better and better every week.
They do. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Are they good enough to defeat Georgia in a conference championship game? That game's a month away. I don't know. I mean, a lot can happen in a month.
Yeah.
But they're doing a lot of things that you got to like. I agree with that. And if Milroe, I don't know if they were saving the runs. I don't think you do that in football. I think you play what you got. But if he runs like this is going to be Milroe becomes a huge. It's really, 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 really difficult to deal with him if he runs the way he ran tonight. I don't know what you do, honestly.
Yeah, no,
because you saw how much it opened up their traditional run game.
That's right, or the underneath passing.
Yeah,
100%. You know what? I'm just watching the highlights again. It's on one of the TVs over here of Alabama. It's ironic that things. You and I discuss this all the time. Like in life, the lines that we draw. If you do the throat slash, it's an automatic 15-yard penalty.
That right there. Yep.
The throat slash.
Yeah, but go.
But I can take a machine gun and shoot it into the student section after a touchdown, or 2 pistols, and do that into the student section after I scored a touchdown tonight. No flags at all. Yeah. But we're going to say this right here is too much.
Well,
with the whole machine gun.
I thought you were going to say the fact that I can't do it right here, but I can move up 6 inches and do it right here. Yeah. Nobody said the word, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that should be a 15-yard penalty. I'm saying this probably shouldn't be at this point. This, we probably should say, listen, if we're just cutting the opponent's throat, it's probably on the same level as me firing a machine gun into a crowded student section, right?
Yeah, I don't disagree.
After a touchdown.
You're right. It is weird. It is weird where we draw lines.
Yeah. And I'm so old, I remember a penalty that used to get thrown automatically if you high-fived or shook hands with the crowd. So when Milroe did that after the first touchdown, I was like, oh no, they're going to flag him for that. But apparently that's not a penalty anymore. You can go and high-five the crowd again, because that became after every touchdown tonight.
Yeah, I would at one point.
But at one point, that was an automatic flag, celebrating with the crowd, I think is what it was called. Or something.
No, I think you're right about that.
The stupid rules we've had in college football over the years.
Weird places we draw lines.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, let's just go ahead and do the Tuscaloosa leap and just jump into the crowd.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to hit? Do we hit it all?
Yeah. I was trying to stretch this out. I was hoping for a Lance.
I got nothing, man. I texted him. I got nothing. We'll have to wait till tomorrow. Yep,
we are. I got the girlfriend hit me back.
Just because you can text doesn't mean you can do a video stream. It takes a lot of cell service to do a video stream. We have learned that one.
That's right. That is right.
All right.
Hey, good day though, man. You did a wonderful job today, Brown. I don't tell you enough.
Thank you, Jim.
You did a wonderful job.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
We'll be back live at 9 a.m. on Monday. Next Round Live. Make sure you give this a thumbs up, like it, share it wherever you are, and set your alerts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Next Round Live. Set your alerts and follow us on all social media at Next Round Live.
Well, the Dolphins kick off in less than 9 hours.
I know. I am well aware of that. Zach says the show quit showing the chat. Wonder why. We did not. I just showed it not too long ago. Brown, give us a Dolphins Chiefs prediction. I don't know, man. A lot of people say they like the Dolphins in this one.
Oh yeah, I mean, Chiefs are not what they have been. I would say Dolphins 35, Chiefs 17.
35-17.
Yeah.
I will take 35-17. If you're giving me that one, I'll take 35-17.
Yep. That's what I will start no Chiefs in my fantasy football tomorrow.
Jeff is right. Is it 9 hours or 10 hours? Because we're about to add an hour. So really my body clock's only 10:08 right now.
That's exactly right. No, it's less.
Right.
You're losing an hour.
Yeah.
So is it 9 hours or 8 hours? It's 8 hours.
No. You're gaining an hour. No, losing.
You fall back.
Yeah, that gate gives you
right.
an extra.
You're right.
Wow.
My wife has me confused. She went to sleep after the third quarter, and she's like, time changes. And I was like, you're right, but she should have stayed up an extra hour and watched the Tide win.
Yeah. What's good? Apparently, we ignored him. A lot of things in the chat tonight there. So sorry we ignored you.
Yeah,
chat was moving pretty fast.
It was, and truthfully, when there's two of us, I've been in Brown's position before, running the show. Normal days when there's two of us, I can't do the normal things I do when I'm running the show. It's my bad. I should have been watching the chat more.
So Zach, sorry we ignored you. What's good? Sorry we ignored you. I'm sure they were phenomenal comments that we were not able to get to.
Well, I mean, give them again. Let's go overtime. Give us the comments again, Zach.
I don't want to dig back. I can't dig back through them.
I'm telling them to post it again. Let's do 5 minutes of chat right now. Let's go.
All right. Zach wants to know, is there karaoke tonight? There will not be karaoke tonight, Zach.
No karaoke.
Ice Service says Auburn's completely irrelevant. There are SEC teams currently far more irrelevant than Auburn.
I would tell you this, Ice Service, they are irrelevant until they beat you, and then that's going to keep you out of the playoffs.
Robert, the chat was on fire tonight like Jaden Daniels' chin after Dallas targeting. What's good says, why not talk NFL? Literally just sat here and talked Dolphins Chiefs. They actually play in the NFL. What's good? Those are two NFL teams. Will says, good decision to ignore. What's good? I think he just showed us that. Here we go. Oh gosh, they move some. Oh, here you go, David. What's Michigan's best win? Dunaway, Michigan's best win. Go.
Michigan's best win to date is against Maryland.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Mo Jones, Brown, will you get out of service before kickoff? No. Is Michigan's best win who?
Is that your plan? You're going to go early service and then catch the second half?
That is not my plan. I'm going to catch.
Oh.
Is Michigan? Is Michigan's best win is who?
Is it Maryland? Have they played Maryland?
Don't think so.
Well,
Lunsford wants to know who's going to win the 4A state title. Lunsford can't even tell you who's in 4A. I'm going to take Jacksonville.
4A, I'm going to take Piedmont.
I'm going to take my man Jacksonville, Clint Smith. John wants to talk WNBA. Season's over, John. The Legacy won it, or somebody.
Best win right now for Michigan. They have not played Maryland. Still to come. They got Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State to end. Right now, their best win is Rutgers, 31-7.
Yikes! That's their best win.
Of which Greg Schiano at halftime said something fishy's going on here.
Yeah. Daniel says Rutgers probably. He was correct about that. Schmo Jones, Penn State have a chance to beat Michigan. They look better against Maryland tonight than I thought they would.
No, me too. That cost me one of my predictions. I don't think so. I don't think anybody has a chance to beat Michigan until they get into the playoffs.
Yep. Dirty Deaf wants to know where. God, these are moving so quick. NASCAR. Who wins the championship tomorrow? Blaney, Larson, Bell, or Byron? Haven't watched a race since Talladega.
Well, Byron has been really good, but I would go Larson again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Larson.
Yeah, all right.
He's good on the track.
Chase P. I watched a lot of football game at Vandy today. They didn't tell me I needed a hard hat and safety training.
Yeah.
It is an active construction zone.
Yeah, good for them though. They're changing that up. Hopefully, it's ready for next year. Teams had to roll through Tuscaloosa for many, many years since Saban got there with them building stuff on.
Yeah.
Not everybody has a palace. Takes a while to
Yeah.
build that house.
NH3425, Pittman getting fired tomorrow. They just won. He's not getting fired. Of anybody getting fired in that game, it'll be more likely Billy Napier. They may not win again.
They may not. LSU, Missouri, Florida State for them, which would make them not bowl eligible.
Yep.
So,
and I mean, I know I said earlier they've got enough to win against Florida State, but they've also got enough to get blown out by 30. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget nextround.store for gear, new stuff coming in for the colder weather. And somebody had asked me about a hoodie. We'll see if we can find a good. The reason we haven't had a hoodie yet, we've got some skin guards in the summer and spring, is I don't think Lunsford has found one that meets our quality yet. So if we find
a good actual fabric of it or whatever.
Yeah. So if we find a good hoodie fabric that it fits the price point, I'm sure we'll put one in there at some point.
I was going to try to find this question. I thought this was actually a good question that I had. I'm going to let you think about it. Somebody asked who will be the SEC Player of the Week this week.
I would say offensively, it'll be Jalen Milroe.
It could be, but I would make a case for Trey Harris as well. 11 catches, 213 yards for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good day.
Now do Jalen Milroe.
Well, Jalen Milroe was good, Bama Jim, but there are other players in the conference, other teams in Alabama that play games.
Yeah, but 374 total yards from scrimmage.
A receiver with 11 catches, 213 yards, you don't think it's impressive?
He just has to beat one guy. Jalen has to beat 11 guys.
Gotcha. Steven says, are they collecting buyouts in College Station? Potentially they are. I don't think you can't win on the road, man. I don't know if you know this, but you play roughly 40-50% of your games on the road.
Almost two hands full of straight losses on the road. They've lost 9 straight road games.
Yeah, I agree with Jay Price. If your school colors don't include black, don't wear black uniforms. He's looking at Florida for that one.
Oh, they were not good uniforms.
Those are bad uniforms. Bad.
And don't lose. And don't lose when you wear them.
Yeah, and if you do lose when you're on, burn them, right?
Yeah, don't wear them again.
Yep. Yeah, don't wear them again. I don't know what some of these. I mean, I could throw these up, but I don't know what some of them mean. Some people are just talking to Lunsford because now Lunsford's got a discussion going about who's going to win each classification.
Yeah, Lunsford does that to us during the week too. He has his own show going on.
He's servicing the people, man. If that's what the people want, it's what they want.
Oh, I know. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying he does it during the week too.
Yeah. Don't forget mybookie.ag code next round. Mybookie.ag code next round. That deposit bonus 50%. 50% deposit match right there. Mybookie.ag up to $1,000.
It's hard for me to not be jealous when I'm doing our show to see the one Lunsford's running in the chat and not want to participate in that one too. I can't do two things at once.
Lunsford's doing a better show is what you're saying?
No, I never think he's doing a better show. He's just doing a different show.
Hey, somebody asked if Alabama moves up. Does Alabama move up? Ohio State won. Georgia won, Michigan won, Florida State won, Washington won, Oregon won, Texas won.
So no.
The answer is going to be no to that one.
Yeah, no.
I just don't see anywhere they can go.
Because they don't move up because Texas beat them, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to move up.
You wouldn't think so? Well, I mean, if you look, Jim, the committee put Oregon one spot behind Washington, and they put Alabama one spot behind Texas. Yeah. Now, they did put Oklahoma behind Texas, but it was coming off a loss to Kansas, and Oklahoma has now backed it up with another loss, so they don't have to worry about that anymore. But my point is, they showed all along they respect the head-to-head. Or not all along, but at the top of the poll, they showed they respect head-to-head. So I don't think Alabama will jump Texas. Texas, who they got coming up here? At TCU is so bad.
Yep.
At Iowa State can be a tough place to play, and then they play Texas Tech.
Yep.
They're going to get probably Oak State in the conference championship game, though. Interesting game, Jimmy D. Interesting game. Oak State's got UCF left. They should destroy UCF, though that is on the road. They're at Houston, also should destroy them. BYU, who just got toasted by West Virginia today.
Dodged a bullet today. This was the best chance to get them out of the way for Alabama today.
Who, Texas?
Yeah.
Oak State can beat them in the Big 12 championship game. That's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm just hoping it doesn't come down to that.
Well, does it? Look, all right,
Well,
let me go back.
I guess I'm hoping it does come down to that because that
Yeah.
means at least Alabama has gone on to win the SEC championship. But I'm hoping if Florida State loses, but they don't have anybody left to lose to. Washington got through USC tonight. They've got a couple of games maybe.
Well, they
Rematch
got
with Oregon.
Yeah, they got to play Utah, who was good today.
Yeah,
but it's at home. They're at Oregon State, who's playing Colorado right now. Apparently, Coach Prime screwed up the end of the half.
14-3 in the third quarter.
Yeah,
wow, that's a low.
yeah. Colorado's. Boy, you want to talk about who's disappeared? Colorado's offense has disappeared.
Yeah.
And then they got the Apple Cup, which is in Seattle, and then your conference championship game, which is probably going to be Oregon again. They're going to get that rematch against Oregon. That's what's interesting. That's what's interesting. If it comes down to, and I hate doing scenarios, but if it comes down to, say, Alabama or one-loss Oregon, what would the committee value more, Alabama beating Georgia or Oregon beating Washington? I think Alabama beating Georgia, right?
Yeah. But now you got Alabama, Texas, if they went out, Oregon, if they went out, Michigan, who's unbeaten, one loss, Ohio State, unbeaten Florida State. Now you have a conundrum, and the SEC's never been left out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
We need some chaos, man. We need some chaos.
Oh, it always happens. We do this every year, and they scramble to find 4 teams. Every single year they scramble to find 4 teams.
But I feel like we've dodged the bullet the last 2 weeks. Could have been chaos today. Could have been chaos last week.
Yeah, you'll get some chaos still. You'll get some chaos. All right. Does that do it now? You good? You want to go? What do you want to do?
You want to talk some NFL real quick?
All right, let's talk some NFL. It starts early tomorrow, Dolphins and Chiefs. Let me pull up the
I mean, it's a college football show, but I mean, that one guy wants us to talk NFL.
I think he was probably just yanking chains there, like people like to do in the chat room, thinking it's going to bother us.
I would say that I did this on the show this week. There are 6 shitty quarterback matchups this week in the NFL.
True.
NFL is pretty boring until it gets to be December for me, to be honest with you.
Kansas City down to 1.5 against Miami. That has dropped a full point, down to 1.5. Smart
Kansas
money.
City's giving points?
Yes, they're favored 1.5 over the Dolphins tomorrow morning.
Such easy.
Let me find the good games, just good point spreads. Close point spread. Houston's laying 3 to your Bucks.
Yeah, shitty game, and I'm a Buccaneer fan.
Packers laying 3.5 to the Rams. I saw speculation though that Stafford's going to play tomorrow
with 9 fingers.
I don't know.
4 on his throwing hand.
4 on his throwing hand. Patriots laying 3 to the Commanders tomorrow.
Oh,
these are some bad games. You're right. I know. We were laughing at you for making the point, but these are some crap games. Falcons laying 3.5 to the Vikings tomorrow. It's 2 backup quarterbacks in that one. Colts laying 2.5 on the road at Carolina. Raiders with a new coach laying 1.5 at home to the Giants. I would watch that game in my backyard.
You want to know what part I'm going to rewatch of this show right before I go to sleep?
Not this part.
This part.
Philadelphia. Here's a good one. Eagles laying 3 at home to the Cowboys.
Okay, that's a good one.
That's a good game. But we got
what time is that one?
That's late. That's late window. 3:25.
Oh, okay. Good.
3:25.
Yeah.
Bengals laying 2.5 at home to the Bills. That's the Sunday night game.
Another good game. Yep. Sunday night
game.
So all I have to do is watch my crappy Bucks play in the early window. Then I'll watch good Eagles, Cowboys. Then I'll watch good Bills, Bills and Bengals.
Yep.
Okay. That'll be my day tomorrow.
I was going to find Schefter because they're saying I thought Schefter was reporting there's a chance. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford listed as questionable for Sunday due to his thumb injury, unlikely to play against the Packers, though the team is giving him all the time it can before making any final decisions per a source. And then Schefter goes on to say a bunch of stuff. So I don't know if he's going to play or not. Brett Rippon would be the guy that plays if he doesn't. That's according to Schefter 2 hours ago. So there you go, Matt Stafford. There you go. We talked
Bobby's
NFL.
Right. Brown Bandit covered. You got another one.
I got another. What's that give me? A point?
Oh, I think it gives you 5 with the new system.
Oh, heck yeah. So I guess 17 points. I did cover
Yeah.
with Mizzou.
I did not
Bobby
cover
is
with
absolutely correct.
I did not cover with Virginia Tech, and LT did not cover with LSU.
Yeah.
So 5 points for you.
Bears at the Saints. Jay Price says, good grief, that sucks.
Mm.
Um,
And
that
see,
is,
those would be the games if I was an NFL broadcaster. Those would be the games I'd have to go do. I'd
yeah,
be Bears and Saints. Hello, I'm Chris Mortensen. Welcome to the
yeah.
Bears and Saints. I get paid to watch this every week. That's the only reason I'm watching it. Same with the Texans and Bucks. I'm a Bucks fan. Pretty crappy game to watch.
Yeah.
But
Oh, Michael got
for some reason, I like it in December.
Yep.
I like it in December and in the playoffs. I do not like it until then. NFL.
Oh, I love the NFL. I watch it every Sunday. I mean, even the bad games are close at least.
I watch it. It's just not as fun as college football to me.
No, college football is different. I've just never understood. There are a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I'm a college guy. I'm not an NFL guy." Like, you can literally be both. They play different days. I mean, you don't have to like pick one over the other. I mean,
no, I watch it. I watch it. I just am not. I don't live and die with it. You know, I live and die with college, man. I mean, every game I'm just so tied to. I'm just.
Well, I mean, like this basement I'm in right here, I got down here 12 and a half hours ago. I walked out to take the trash out of the trash can earlier. So nice out tonight. But I mean, that's the only time I've gone out of my house all day since we did the show. Brandon says college football is the best, but the Red Zone channel on Sunday is awesome. I don't watch the Red Zone anymore. I've got a Sunday ticket. Reese and Pat McAfee did a Red Zone NFL or a college tonight. I don't know if you watched any of it. Did you?
I did not.
Well, the flaw in that is obviously they only have the ESPN games, so they don't have access to Alabama, LSU. They might be able to show like highlights delayed on it, but they can't go to it live the way you would do a normal Red Zone situation. So, and then whatever was on Fox tonight, they don't have that either.
Right. And see, that's the problem. And that's the problem.
Everybody's like, why don't they do one for college? Well, you don't have all the games. I mean, the games are all different networks. The NFL network can do it because they own the rights to the games.
They used to try it. The ESPN folks used to try it. I forget what it was called. Their problem was, you have a lot of games, and they would not just rotate to the good ones. They would rotate to, the Citadel playing North Carolina, and they would stay on those games way too long. The thing that makes the NFL work, the Red Zone work so well, is that they quad box it and tri box it and double box it, and they punch from them so fast that they stay with them during the huddles and all that. It's just brilliantly done. And I do watch the Red Zone, and that hour is just magical television. I
will say this: and I don't watch Red Zone, but I go to the if the Dolphins are playing, they're going to be on a big screen. Other screens go to the close games. The end of that early slate is incredible. You've got 5 or 6, 7 games in the early slate, and probably if you've got 7 games, 5 of them come down to a final possession most of the time.
Yeah, a lot of you are too young to remember, but the NCAA tournament used to be on one. The basketball tournament used to be on one channel, just on CBS, and there would be 4 games going on at once. And let's say we were watching UAB play Indiana, and then it would be a close ending in another region, and Greg Gumbel would come on and say, "Hey, we'll come back to UAB in Indiana in a second, but right now Duke is getting upset by Mercer. Let's go to Ian Finkel, who has the call with Jim Sparnuckle." And they would go to
Sparnarkle. Ian Eagle and Jim Sparnarkle. That's who you're looking for, though.
Yeah. So those were almost better days. It felt like, but now I've got them all on every screen, and I don't know. It just was something about them switching to the game for the final 2 minutes and 20 seconds that made it seem so intense, as opposed to it being up the entire game over here.
Jeff wants to see my setup. Jeff asked for my setup, so let me show him.
It is beautiful.
Bad angle, but you got 65 and 232s. I have found that.
And that is it. We have lost Brownie. Or me. I don't know who we lost. May have been me, may have been Brownie. But that's going to do it for the show, folks. Either I'm gone or Brown's gone.
No, it was me, I think. I don't know why, but me showing you my screen screwed it up somehow.
I mean, you're this guy now.
Oh, am I max headroom? Yeah. I have found that I can only pay attention to 3 screens. Like if I try to do more than that, I just can't really pay attention to it.
Oh, that's my problem. Is I mean, there are days with this with my YouTube TV. I've got one big screen over the air, and then 8 games going 2 quad boxes. And you're right; it's impossible to absorb it all. I think, but inevitably with YouTube TV, you can't pick. You have to find the right combination, and there's always one game on one of the quad boxes I don't want to be on there, and I'll find myself watching it. I'm like, why am I watching it? I don't want it to be on there, but I keep watching this James Madison East Carolina game for some reason. Why do I keep watching this?
All right. I believe that's going to do it.
All right. That's me unfiltered. There you go.
There's Jim Unfiltered. Join us 9:00 Monday morning. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, share all of this, and follow us on social media at Next Round Live, like and subscribe, all those things. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. And we love you joining us, and we thank you for letting us do what we do. I've said all I can say. I'm going to go to bed now. So
in fact, you're repeating yourself now. We appreciate it, and we appreciate it.
We appreciate it. And if I didn't say it, we appreciate it. See you 9:00 on Monday morning.